Welcome back to Breakfast with Bob, Boston Marathon Edition. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're presented and hosted by Hyland, Stop Your Cramp, Not Your Race, and by Polar, Chase Your Destiny. We get to chat about one of my favorite programs on the planet. It's called Students Run LA. Brian Pfeffer and Rachel Rodriguez join us. How you doing, Rachel?
Doing amazing, Bob. Thank you.
And Brian, you good?
Such a pleasure to be here, Bob. Got the butterflies. It's just an amazing weekend. It seems like a very long weekend. I think I could have run during the 5K. I could have put the marathon under my belt right then and there. I just was ready to go. Now it's just time to run.
Wait, right? The clock is just ticking slowly.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys are both living out in LA, so this weather is perfect for you.
You know, it does get cold in LA. Everybody was tripping out that I was wearing my tank and shorts at yesterday's 5K, and I'm like, hey, it gets cold sometimes in LA. It's not always beautiful and sunny.
Exactly. So you were part of Students Run LA.
I was a student. My senior year of high school, I ran with Students Run LA my first marathon.
And how did you find out about the program?
Through friends. I was on the track and cross country team, and my friends were like, hey, come on, we're doing this thing. And I was like, what's a marathon? What do you guys do? They're like, oh, we just run around. And I'm like, oh, all right. And it was to be with my friends and hang with my friends. And when we finished together, and it was such an amazing feeling. And it's one of the most memorable moments of my life.
And how did it change you?
I don't know if it necessarily changed me. I was always very goal driven anyways, and I knew I was going to get to where I wanted to go. It wasn't until I became a teacher of SRLA that I realized the impact that I have on my students, because I always looked up to my coach. But when I became a coach and I saw, especially my students are low-income families and they don't necessarily have the support at home.
Right. And
I become their mom, I become their drill sergeant, I become their caretaker, and I become the person who's looking after them. That was when I was like, you know what, I didn't realize how much he did for me. But now until I became a coach.
And Brian, for you, what led you to this program?
Well, all right, new teacher, Bob. Take you back a couple years ago. Like I don't know when you were a senior in high school. Must have been like 2 or 3 years ago. But
yes.
No, like I was in college. I ran 2 marathons, 2000, 2001. Put 2 marathons just from, you know, kind of like the hangover of high school sports, competitive sports, not really good enough to take it to the next level.
Right.
My roommate and I, DC, let's just start running. You go that way, I'll go this way, and we'll kind of have an arms race to see who can run farther, right? And so I started teaching out in LA after I'd met my wife. 10 years go by, and I had terrible coping strategies with the stress of teaching. Terrible coping strategies, like chicken wings and pitchers of beer every day, just because these kids, you know, like I get this, you know, like put it on weight, started being unhealthy. But then one of the teachers who was coaching the program at the middle school I was working at, she's like, hey, come running with us. Don't go to the bar, come running with us after school.
As part of Students Run LA.
And she was the coach of Students Run LA, and then it's a transformational experience. Like in terms of my personal journey, to be the runner that I am wouldn't have happened without Students Run LA, and I am aware of that power, and that's what I mean. I don't tell the students you're going to change. Like now that I've worked with the organization for 9 years, like it's got the ability to change the way your body looks, the way your body feels, your performance in school, your grades, your attendance, and it's the best after-school program for kids in the city, and it's the best program for teachers who are looking for that outlet to keep them going on those endless the years are quick, you know, like, but the days are long as a teacher, you know.
Right. Yeah. What's fascinating to me is I remember when Students LA first started, and people were like, wait a second, you take high school kids and you're going to have them do marathons? That just seems so long. They're going to get injured. It's going to be a problem. What have you found?
You know, I found, because I teach middle school, so I have 12-year-olds who are completing their marathon.
12-year-olds running a marathon.
You know, this past LA Marathon, the funniest story, because I run with 2 schools, actually. I run with Pacoima and I run with Nobel. And there's 2 little guys. They're tiny. They were in the line for the bathrooms, and a woman came up to them and said, "You're running the marathon?" They're like, "Yeah." "No, you're not." They're like, "Yeah." So she took a selfie with them because she could not believe that a 12-year-old, and they're so tiny, they look younger.
Yeah.
But they got through it, you know, and that's the beauty of the program, is we're not just throwing them out there to hurt themselves. We start at the training program back in August, even September, and, you know, start off slow with 5K, and then we move up to 10K until we get them there. And you know, yes, there are those kids who get hurt. There's injuries, but I mean, there's injuries for us as an adults as well.
No question.
So it's the fact that we do prepare them, and when they finish, that pride that they have is something that, I mean, it's just beautiful to see.
And Brian, when you're working with these kids, and you see them after you see the light bulb go on, where all of a sudden they realize that I haven't had a lot of success at home, maybe I haven't had much success in school, I'm having success running. And you've seen that transfer back to the school?
Right, I mean, you can't put a better uniform on for school than on Monday when you got your medal and you got your shirt that you got at a race, right? Like, I mean, teenagers need something tangible. They need things that are epic.
That's a good point.
The LA Marathon is epic.
Yeah.
And the tangible medals and shirts, like I've picked up kids at their house and you can see they've got every shirt pinned up on their wall, every medal like in a row, you know, like, and these kids are starting sometimes in 7th grade and they do the program 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th.
So they stay.
I have students that now I'm still tracking on Facebook, and they're 23 and they're like, yeah, I mean, I'll see you at the Dodger Stadium getting ready for the marathon. You know, like
so it becomes a lifetime sport for them.
And it becomes a family thing, because I've had siblings. I started out with the older sister, then the brother comes along, then the younger sister. Like it becomes a family thing where everybody from their family runs the marathon. It's like, oh, my brother ran with you. Yeah, okay, yes, I remember them, and I would go pick them up. Same thing. It's we all become a family, and the fact what you were saying about, you know, the transfer. I have a student that I just had. I call him my son, because it's like he grumbles about everything, complains, and I'm like, look, did you try to run the marathon or did you do it? And he's like, I did it. So when you're telling me you're messing up in class, are you going to try to improve, or are you just going to do it? And he's like, okay, Ms. Rodriguez. And it's, you know, I try and use what they learn out with me running to apply it to the classroom. It's like, you know, if you can do this, you can do anything. You just have to, you have to set a goal like you did for the marathon. And it clicks. That light bulb does go off.
So with some of these kids, in terms of success stories, like you now are a teacher, right? You came from that program and a teacher. I'm guessing that a lot of times you're going to a family's home and the nutrition's not great, right? And the parents might not be fit, not be in this stuff. Do you see that transformation where the family itself is going, well, if Jimmy's running and he's eating better, we're changing everything at the house?
I hosted a potluck. I always do, like, the day before the marathon, invite the parents to come in, and, you know, like, it's no secret to working with kids or working with anyone. The family's the most important structure, right?
Right. Yeah.
And if you get parents involved in a child's life, especially like your most at-risk kids, right? What you're trying to do is you're trying to create an alternative. Like, I can't assume my students are experiencing this, and this, but I do know that they're human beings. I do know the community that I serve and that I work in very well. We do have high crime. We do have poor access to medical care. We do not have, you know, like community health facilities, or just in general, like, places to buy food that is healthy food, right? So what we're doing is, you know, like, the incremental step would be like, this food that you're having right now is a sometime food, not an all the time food. You know, like, you want to do the food pyramid, fine. You're going to have junk food right before practice. You eat that bag of hot Cheetos because we're going to burn it right off. And when you go home, like, what are you going to eat? You know, and getting the parents involved. I mean, running is SRLA, Students Run LA, is totally free. You know, like, and it's really simple. You don't need a ref. You don't need to buy. You don't need to go to your bosses to buy buses.
You don't need a field.
Nike provides shoes for the kids. You don't need a field. You just need what you got.
You just need to show up.
Yeah.
And they do. They show up. I don't know why. I don't know why they keep, especially middle school. Like, in high school, I was dedicated, but and that's why I love my middle schoolers so much, to have that dedication at such a young age.
Yeah.
To finish, it's amazing.
It's human nature to want to join and be a part of something important. And when you watch elementary school kids run out to the playground, they're all smiling. Like, running is biologically tapping into the joy of life. Now, you drop the thermostat to about 32 and you throw in some headwind and rain, I'm still gonna have a huge smile on my face tomorrow. It's just like, it's primal, you know, like, it's great.
Do you have an example of a kid that was really transformed through this program? You don't have to give a name, but just a kid who you saw that maybe heading down the wrong path. Go ahead.
Rachel, think time. I see you're Googling your brain, but I do like immediately.
I know. I knew you would.
Day one in practice, it's like August 17th, you know, like we run around the block, we run around the school, jog, you know, we jog around the school. And I had a student, this was in 2015, 2016, okay? Starting with fitness foundation level 0. You know, fitness foundation level 0. And we did 32 weeks of training, and the marathon, we had the plan of, you know, like walk 5, run 1. Walk 5 minutes, run 1 minute. And you stick to it, and you got your watch, and you got your running partner, and to go from not being able to get around the block in August to completing the LA Marathon, I tell the students, like, I'm not looking for fast runners. I'm not looking for athletes. I'll take a mix. You want to come be a speed demon, you want to make the commitment, come on. But what I'm looking for is kids who are underserved in that 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. window, which is crucial to making the transition between being a kid that's dependent on adults and role models to being someone who's going to graduate from college and make it on their own. That 3 to 6 hour, let's go. And yeah, her name is Arlinda, and I want you to listen to this. And she's amazing. She's worked harder in that season than I've ever imagined anyone could.
And she's still into it. She's still running.
She's at UCLA. I'm going to check in with her, make sure.
Oh my gosh, she's
right.
at UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And the education side, do you see that transformation where they are having success as an athlete, as a runner, and that does transfer to their grades getting better, they're focusing more?
I do definitely for my students. I was thinking about a kid named Javier. He came in, he was kicked out of his other school and ended up at my school, and very angry, had a lot of anger issues.
Yeah.
And he came out running, and I was kind of shocked that he first came out. And he stuck with it, and I've seen him at races now, and he looks like a totally different person. And he's, you know, smart, intelligent guy. So many of these kids are so smart, but they put their focus and their energy into negatives. And it's like, you know what? Here's a positive. Here's this positive. Turn it into your life. And they have. I've seen. You know, I definitely become their mom. And all the teachers at my school, they know, you know, you're a runner, Miss Rodriguez. I just have to go talk to Miss Rodriguez, and they shape up so fast because, you know, I'm small but I'm mighty, and they don't want to mess with me. But
nobody wants to mess with you.
They don't. But
I'm sitting here, I don't want to mess with you.
Yeah.
But they respect me. It's because it's like, look, I will never disrespect you. I'm going to always want the best for you, and when you do something bad, it hurts me. I do take it personal because they become my kids. You know, when people ask me, oh, how are your kids? You mean my children or my students? I always have to differentiate because they're the same.
So, Rachel, you don't seem like a person who gets surprised very easily. How did Hyland surprise you with this?
That I was selected?
Yes.
It was, well, first off, we had the fires in LA,
yes.
And so that kind of postponed I was supposed to be notified earlier, and I was dying the whole week. I was like, I don't know, are they going to pick me? I really want to be picked, I don't know. And it was they didn't surprise me at my school, so it was kind of bittersweet. They didn't surprise me at my school. They surprised me at the other school that I run with, and they all, each kid had a balloon. And I walked into the gym, and they had me this balloon. And my son, who has actually completed his 2nd marathon with SRLA this year, he was standing at the end. And I just saw him, and I just started crying. And I was just so happy I'm just so honored that they selected me to be a part of this amazing journey.
Brian, how'd they surprise you?
That's a good story, by the way. That's fantastic. My boss calls a staff meeting, and we're like, okay, what happened? What budget crisis is going to befall us next? But calls a staff meeting, meet in Pfeffer's room after school today, and everyone loves everyone loves an unplanned staff meeting after school.
Of course, yeah.
So we're all sitting down, and my office manager starts running her camera, and my boss, she hits the phone, and my wife is on the phone. And I'm like, well, if you're pregnant again, like, this isn't really the most appropriate way. And my wife gets on the phone. She's like, are you busy? Middle April? Can you feel like going to Boston? And I'm like, no way. And it's just like just to hear from my wife and have all my staff, like the people that I work with. I mean, they're my family, right? They're my support team. I've been there now for 7 years, and neither Rachel or I are people who leave our job at work. Teachers aren't. It's not something we do. It's who we are, and that's just a thrill. And it's just being a new dad and trying new things. This is the first. I think I've run about 29 marathons. This is the first time I've ever gotten on a plane to go to a marathon. Like I run the ones that are near me. And this is the Super Bowl. This is the premier running event, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be here. Yeah.
Rachel, have you run Boston before?
I have not. I'm an LA girl, so I've done the past about 11 LA marathons. I've been a part of SRLA for 11 years now, and this was something that I never thought I would. It's like that's for other people. That's not me. And same thing. I've never taken. The only other race I did was San Francisco Marathon, just because I'm an LA girl.
Right.
I don't want to travel.
Yeah.
So when this happened, it was like, yeah, I'm there. I'm going. I know I can do it, and I'll do it. Yeah, I'll get it done.
So what have you learned from the other teachers? I've been very impressed with their 17 teachers here, and just everyone has a different story, but there's the enthusiasm for being a teacher, the enthusiasm for their students just it bubbles over the top. What have you learned from some of these other teachers so far?
Just, they're dedicated. I think we all just share this dedication to our students, and you can feel it, you can see it.
You can feel it.
I think I'm impressed with those who have suffered hardships, because I've been blessed that I have 2 healthy kids and my husband they're always there to support me, and to have a hardship and continue on is something I've never had to do, and hopefully I won't have to do, but that to me is just so inspiring, that on top of being a dedicated teacher, a dedicated runner, to go beyond what struggles they've had to endure is impressive to me.
Right.
I mean, references to teachers in pop culture and in the news, it's like what they do wrong.
I know,
like
always.
The slacker teacher who's phoning it in, doing the crossword. But I mean, come on, that is so divorced from reality. What I've learned by being a part of this team is I am not on an island by myself. I have teachers who are not like me, but we are engaged in its. I mean, my students would say the struggle is real, but we are all literally in this together. Like I've learned that like this community of teachers that Hyland's has put together, it's really inspiring, and there's always going to be Kevin, who's more extreme than I am, posting his workouts on Facebook, but like we are all powered by the same thing. It's all coming from right here. We have teachers, it's their first marathon. We have teachers who are going to run 250 tomorrow. It doesn't matter what the weather is, and we've been hanging out this entire weekend, and every story inspires. And for Hyland's to showcase that, it is a transformative marketing experiment, and I think it is a complete success.
Love it. Thank you both for taking time and hanging out. I love the fact you guys are close up in LA, and you're doing great work. That Students Run LA program. Do you have any idea how many kids have gone through that program over the years? It's thousands, right?
3,000 a year practically.
We're about like 3,200 this past year. Starting, I think this is the 28th season that Harry and Eric and Paul have been working on it, and it's just absolutely amazing. I mean, SRLA.org has got all that information.
Yes,
I wanted to be able to pull that feather out and tell you some data, but it's an amazing program, much like the CAF, the work that you're doing with the Challenged Athletes Foundation. I mean, those two things. I mean, my heart is with those two organizations, SRLA, CAF. Yeah.
Love that. Thanks, you guys.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Love it again. Breakfast with Bob, Boston Marathon Edition. And we're presented and hosted by Hyland, Stop Your Cramp, Not Your Race, and by Polar, Chase Your Destiny. Hold on, everybody. We will be right back.
Thanks, Bob.